Welcome back to Rugby from the Stands. Before we dive into this massive team announcement, I just want to extend a huge thank you. The channel has absolutely exploded over the last 5 days. The engagement, the comments, the debates, even those of you roasting my predictions. It's all been phenomenal. We love this community. If you're new here, we're heading into the climax of the Rugby Championship. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this video, and ring the bell so you don't miss the analysis for this decisive weekend. So, Rassie Erasmus has named his side to face Argentina in London. He has explicitly called this game a final. And he hasn't just said it, he's selected a team that screams it. This is not a lineup for experimentation. This is a lineup picked to secure back-to-back titles and make history. After the demolition job in Durban, Rassie has shown immense faith in the combinations that clicked. There are only 4 changes to the match day 23. Let's break down the selections. And crucially, we'll look at the stats from last week to identify the blueprint Argentina must follow if they are to cause a historic upset. The primary message here is continuity. Rassie is known for rotation, but when silverware is on the line, you back your winning formula. He has emphatically chosen to ride the momentum from that 67-point performance. It's a massive statement of intent, but it's also applying pressure before the whistle even blows. For the Pumas, this is a huge psychological hurdle. They've spent the week dissecting how they were torn apart, and now the Springboks are rolling out virtually the same team. It forces Argentina to confront the exact same challenges, the same power and the same speed they failed to cope with just 7 days ago. Looking at the pack, the immediate positive is the return of Ox Nche at loosehead. He was a late withdrawal last week, but having him back alongside Malcolm Marx and Thomas du Toit restores their front row unit. The rest of the pack is unchanged. Ebenezer and Rohan Nokia were aerially dominant last week, securing 100% of their own line-out ball, and they will be tasked with disrupting Argentina's platform again. The loose trio of Kolisi, Peter Steff, and Jasper Wiese remains the preferred engine room from a collision-heavy battle. The backline sees total continuity. Cobus Reinach retains the 9 jersey. While some expected Grant Williams to rotate in, Rassie is clearly backing Reinach's experience to manage the initial stages of the game. At 10, Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu. After his historic performance, this was non-negotiable. We talked extensively this week about his emergence, but what's fascinating is watching his maturity develop. If you look at some of his earlier performances this season, there was sometimes an element of forcing the issue. Maybe a few too many speculative passes, but in Durban, it was controlled and methodical. He seems to have that rare ability to process the game a lot faster than anyone around him, giving him the appearance of having so much time on the ball. He pulls the trigger instantaneously, making those attacking kicks almost indefensible because the defense can't read his intention early enough. The challenge for him now is to deliver that same control in the pressure cooker of a final, or a so-called final. The midfield of Deolande and Moody remains, and crucially, the back 3 is intact. Ethan Hooker is fit, Colby is on the right, and Damien Willemse is named at fullback, shaking off injury rumors and providing vital security at the back. The bench is where we see the personnel shifts. Sticking with the 5-3 split, this selection highlights the evolution of the Springbok strategy. It's not just about forward attrition anymore. We see the return of Bongi Mbonambi at 16. This is crucial for set-piece security late in the game. When the pressure is on, you want Bongi's experience and accuracy at line-out time. RG Snyman and Quagga Smith provide their usual massive energy shifts, but look at the backline replacements. This is the accelerator pedal. Grant Williams at 21 and Manie Libbok at 22. This signals a clear intent to lift the tempo dramatically in the final quarter. If the game is broken up, these two will be devastating. And the final piece is Jesse Creel returning at 23. This is smart contingency planning. Creel is the insurance policy. If the game tightens up, If the Pumas turn it into a grind, you need players who can manage the game state and organize the defense. Creel, with 83 caps, brings a calm head when things get chaotic. So, the Springboks look formidable. Actually, more than formidable. They look pretty scary to me. But if I'm Felipe Contepomi, I'm looking at the stats from Durban and realizing that while the final score was a blowout, the game was 25-23 at halftime. Argentina were actually in the fight. So, how do they turn a competitive half into an 80-minute victory? They cannot just try to execute the same game plan better. They need tangible tactical shifts based on the data. And here is the blueprint Argentina must follow. Here's the most surprising statistic from Durban, and it's one that most analysts might overlook. South Africa made 260 post-contact meters off 127 carries. Argentina made 186 meters off only 76 carries. If you do the math, Argentina actually averaged more post-contact meters per carry, 2.44 meters, than South Africa, who averaged 2.04 meters. What does all these numbers mean? This basically contradicts the narrative that Argentina were physically dominated in the carry. Their ball carriers were effective. The problem wasn't the quality of their attack, it was the volume. They only had 40% possession and they kicked the ball away 27 times. The tactic for Contepomi must be to hold the ball. They need to trust their ball carriers, build phases, and deny the Springboks the possession they thrive on. Next, Argentina will need to kill the offload. This is where the game was truly lost. The most damning stat for the Pumas defense, they allowed 18 offloads. This means they were passive in the tackle. The Springboks were getting through the line and keeping the ball alive, which directly led to their 9 line breaks. The tactical adjustment? Argentina will need to implement aggressive double tackles on the primary ball carriers, Wieser, Pirostef, and Etzebeth. One low to chop the legs, one high to immediately wrap the ball up. They have to turn those 18 offloads into single digits. Stop the ball at the source and slow the ruck speed down. The Springboks were 100% at the line out. That is the foundation of their entire game. Conversely, Argentina only won 75% of their own ball. You cannot compete when your platform fails that often. The tactic? Argentina must secure their own ball first, simplifying their calls if necessary. Defensively, they must treat the Springbok lineout as an act of sabotage. They need to aggressively disrupt the Springbok throw. Use varied defensive pods, maybe even double jumping to pressure Marks and Bongi. If they can't win the ball, they must spoil it, make it really, really messy. They'll also need to diffuse aerial bombardment. South Africa in the last game kicked 41 times. The crucial moment that broke the game open was the cross kick from Sacha to Colby right after halftime. So Argentina must adjust their backfield coverage. They cannot afford to have their wingers jamming in too early. They need to hold their width to counter that cross kick threat, or have the fullback actively cheat towards the open side to neutralize Colby in the air. They must win the air or ensure those kicks find touch. So the blueprint is there for Argentina. Trust their carriers and hold possession, kill the offload, disrupt the set piece, and win the aerial battle. It's a massive challenge. It's much more easier said than done. Who am I? I'm just an armchair critic on YouTube. But this Puma side, if you think about it, they've beaten the All Blacks, they've beaten the Wallabies, and they've beaten the Lions this season. But the motivation for South Africa is immense. The chance to win back-to-back rugby championships for the first time ever. They will know exactly what the equation is before kickoff, following the All Blacks game. This Springboks 23 is primed and ready to lift silverware. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Can Argentina implement these tactical changes effectively, or will the Springboks momentum be way too much for the Pumas? Thanks for watching Rugby from the Stands. Enjoy the build-up, and we will see you right after the game.